This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of The Away End. I am Craig Courtney and I am joined this evening by Julian Fern from the Lowdown podcast for Leyton Orient fans. The show today is in association with AMG Logistics, chief sponsor of Tilton Talk Show and also sponsor of Birmingham City Football Club. So, Julian, first of all, thank you very much for sparing the time and giving us a bit of a excuse the pun, lowdown of what to expect tomorrow evening against your good selves at St Andrews at Knighthead Park.
Listen, mate, I thank you for the introduction. There's two things there. You've got a sponsor, which I'm pretty impressed with. And secondly, I think the one and only podcast I realised it is the lowdown, Leyton Orient down, but lowdown. So well done. 10 out of 10.
So we go into the game on Tuesday. Firstly, my pocket is really beginning to hurt now with the Saturday, Tuesday. But we go into another game at St Andrews at Knighthead Park on Tuesday evening against yourselves off the back of a dull, really, 0-0 at the weekend against Reading. Now, firstly, I don't class it as a football pitch that we played on, so I'm so glad that we're actually getting back and going to be on some grass because Reading was absolutely atrocious. But also at the weekend, Orient with their first loss in quite a while with a 2-1 defeat at Bolton. So makes it all very interesting as we go into the game. And as we'll come on to, what a difference in form since we last played each other. So first time around, you were fourth from bottom, looking as though you were going to be in trouble for the rest of the season and have been on a phenomenal run of form, taking you into the playoff areas. And actually in the form table, only one team above yourselves, and that's ourselves. So it's going to make for a really interesting game. When we look at the games over the years, total of, we're talking 25, 35, 45 games between ourselves, of which, for Orient fans, it doesn't make pleasant reading for the last 5 because all of them have actually been won by Birmingham. But things, as we know in this league, can swing and change all the time. So tell us, first of all, can you sum up what has changed for the O's since we last met? Because that game very early in the season, first of all, we were trying to basically find our feet still in this particular league. Yes, we got the result, but things really have turned around since.
Yeah, I think it's a valid comment. So if you ever listen to Richie Wellens, even those sort of 5 or 6 games early doors for us where we weren't quite getting the result we expected, he was very confident that we wouldn't be in a position for much longer. I think the game against you, and if you look back at those highlights, and I sadly have over the weekend, is that sort of 2-1 defeat, we gifted you 2 goals, right? So yeah. we were poor defensively. So if you look at that and where we are now, so what's happened? What's changed? You've asked that question. Not much, really. So we've got a keeper which is in form, so that helps. The keeper who had in goal there it left us back in the window, went back to Middlesbrough, and then went back up to Scotland. So our keeper's in form. That helps, gives it confidence. Our back line has been in form for a number of games, although fairly recently in the last few games we're starting to not crumble at the back, but we've got a few injuries which is causing us a bit of pain, because beginning of the season and as we went through the season, it was the forward line which was causing us some concern. So Richie went into the January transfer window and got us some good bodies to bring in, some good players. But unfortunately, we brought in one defender, and now we're only down to 2 centre-halves. So, and one of those went off with cramp on Saturday, which I don't think Richie was too impressed with. So, I think nothing's really changed. That's what I was going to get to. Nothing's really changed. But actually, the expectations from Richie on the players early doors and where we are now is exactly where he wanted it to be. that run of form we've been on is magnificent, right? So it's fantastic. Our goal averages is very good. We turn over teams really quickly. But if you look over since really Richie started with us, the pattern of play are very similar. He wants high pressing, he wants players in with a second ball. He wants us to be aggressive on the front foot, turning our opposition around. And it's going well. So as you quite rightly said, I think that the form books are great, but it's 90 minutes on a Tuesday night in Birmingham is going to be something that either we sit here and say, I think it'd be your first loss at home this season, or something stupid like that, isn't it? So that could be phenomenal. But on the other side of it, it could be a back-to-back defeat for Richie for the first time in a long while. But we're all confident coming into the game, even with our back line have been a little bit threadbare.
I think the one thing that I remember from the game the first time around was actually your defence and how high up the field the defensive setup actually played, which I think it allowed for Birmingham to attack with the balls not over the top direct, but cutting through the middle and giving us those opportunities at the time. Sounds as though that's still very similar at the moment, albeit with a depleted defence. Or has he strengthened that so that you don't see them playing as far forward as what they did that first game?
He wants to play from the back, so you start that attack that way, but then our defensive line does push up and our fullbacks get up high. So that always gives you that risk that the centre halves will be turned around. But I think looking at what the lineup could be on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, probably have Galbraith, who's probably one of our most informed players, playing at right back, and Curry at left back. And unfortunately, with a weak in middle fronts, we've got Reg back in there, the guy we signed from Charlton in January. And also we have our player in the back, and again, it's my fault. Sorry, I'm just sort of like wanting to give you a clear answer. I think, but you look at our defensive line this time round, the centre halves, in my opinion, have the same mistakes in them as those centre halves who started our game with you in the beginning of the season. So that is my worry.
And obviously, things have progressed. Change in terms of the way that your team have been performing. You mentioned as well that in January there was players incoming for the club. So who should we be looking out for as we go into Tuesday evening's game? If there was some players to kind of single out as being the main threats, who would they be? And also, dare I say it, those with the biggest weaknesses, who would they be?
Yeah, so our centre half, might be his name eluding me there, Cooper. So Brandon Cooper is going to be our weakness at the back. He's got a good game in him somewhere, but not sure where that good game is. But saying that, I've seen him play this season a number of times, and he does put his heart on his sleeve, right? He gives it a go, so you can't knock him from that. But I think from who to look out for, and again, if we go for a similar lineup as we did with Saturday, Kelman, who's on form, a loanee in for QPR, second loanee, he's been in that second season, so he's got an understanding of the club. Richie really rates him. I think Williams, who came in short contract this summer from Bolton, has been very impressive since joining us, and again, a player that you should be looking at and thinking long throws. Very talented, has scored a few already since joining us. But I think if you look back at the player I just mentioned, Ethan Galbraith to me is probably the best player in this league outside your squad by a country mile. Mm-hmm. And if actually he could walk into your team and probably walk into the majority of the championship teams in the bottom half easily. And I just think he's playing with huge confidence. And I think for us as a team, yes, he plays at a 10, but he can play right back. He can play as a holding midfielder. He's extremely comfortable on the ball. Our bit is that wherever he plays, he puts 110% in. He's very versatile. And I think if Donnelly's not having a game in that 10 role early on in the game, he won't leave Ethan at right back. He will switch him into the 10 and bring someone on at right back, a little bit weaker there, because he'll play him the 90 minutes because he knows he could do something magical that turn that game around. And hopefully we won't be in that position. Hopefully we'll be on an equal path for a long time at that 90 minutes with you. So across the squad, and I think that's the bit which is the difference. Across the squad and our bench for the last 3 or 4 games has been really positive. We've still got a number of injuries, but we can't compete and compare with yourselves. You know, you've got a sterling squad. Any football league fan would be impressed to have that as your squad. And good luck to you, right? You know, and I know you're going to go up this year. You know, you're in the form to go up. But all I say is that I know where I would rather be as a fan. I'd rather be in a team chasing to go up, not a team that's come down, had to prove a point to go up again, and a journey that you may inspire not to be successful in the championship and end up coming back down again, and that must be quite disheartening. So we're on that route trajectory. We're not bouncing up and down as we did in previous years when we went down to the National League.
And I think this is the difference with the way things are at the moment. You know, Birmingham needed to hit the reset button. That was the plain and simple thing. We got new owners through the door who tried their absolute utmost to keep us in the division. We went down because we weren't good enough. It wasn't that, you know, other teams were better than us. It was down to the fact that we were just not good enough to stay in the division last year. We've hit that reset button, and the squad that they've built is it's built for a championship. You know, that's what they set their stall out at the start of the season. That's why we didn't see too much movement in January, is because they've got the players they already wanted. You know, we've gone out with strengthening in certain areas. We are depleted at the moment, though. You know, there's a lot of injuries gone on. To the weekend, we saw 3 players limping off the pitch. But, you know, we've had Dykes, who we won't see on Tuesday evening.
Thank God.
We also had defenders going down because of the injuries to the knees. Keshi Anderson pulled up at one point, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's his hamstring." So it sounds daft to say a depleted squad, but it actually is, despite the strength that we still got there. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how he sets the team up, to be honest. And ultimately, whether Chrissy Davis will actually go out and rest a few people as well, ahead of just an incredibly tough schedule. You know, this is a game in hand for us, as it is for yourselves. So you want to take the best away from it, but ultimately we go yourselves Tuesday, then Wickham on Saturday. Then we're going to Bolton next Tuesday. Then we're back at home again on the Saturday. It's just an incredible run that's happening, and obviously now looking forward to a Wembley final as well in April. So yeah, it's going to be interesting tomorrow. You've spoken a lot about frontline and goal scorers, so. Got a little bit of a challenge for you, Anna.
I'm absolutely useless to all of these quizzes, but crack on. We'll give it a go.
What we got? So I pull out the top 5 goal scorers in the games between Leyton Orient and Birmingham City. These are spread across multiple years, going back over time, and there are 5 players that make the top goal scorers. Now, what I can tell you is 3 of the 5 are from Birmingham. One of them I have just mentioned. The 2 others from Leyton Orient, I'm hoping you'll be able to tell me who they are, and also whether you want to have a go at the other 2 Birmingham ones. And one really is going back over time. So what I can tell you as a hint is the 2 players for Orient. One was a centre forward and one was just an out-and-out striker. Both of them have only scored 1 goal each in the games between us. Wow. The top 2 were both from Birmingham. One player scoring 3 goals who is an out-and-out centre forward. Second one was an attacking midfielder who got 2 goals. And like I mentioned, the third Birmingham player who I've just mentioned plays on the left wing. He's only scored 1. So thinking about the Orient ones, first of all, centre forward and an out-and-out striker.
It's a tough one. I think if you gave me all their first names, I still wouldn't be able to give you the answer to your question. Because every time you mention the word Birmingham City, the only thing that pops up in his head is Ricky Otto, because he's a player that played for both clubs and a player that with character and what have you, and gone on to have a fairly successful career. And also now, I think he's a priest now, isn't he? A pastor somewhere.
He's a pastor,
yeah. So I think he's the only player that comes up. Orient players playing Birmingham, and I'm pretty tragic in this. So, so what sort of? Go give me some era, roughly.
You're talking a few years ago, I think. I can give you initials rather than the era.
Okay.
So we'll go with the striker first of all. The out-and-out striker, and the initials are KN.
Kevin Nugent.
It is indeed. And he's
Kevin Nugent,
scored just
they're not so bad like I said it was. What's the next one? Come on, give me some feeders. I like it.
JI.
Oh, man, Jabo Iberia, yeah? No, Jabo?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you've just pronounced that, because I would never have given it a go.
So bloody hell. Both scored at Birmingham against you. All right,
They did
indeed. Nugent, I could sort of get, because Nugent went on had a very good career, playing for Swansea and what have you. Very, very average player, if I'm honest, but he could score a goal. Robert Taylor, the same sort of era as that, round that sort of size. I was thinking more Scott McLeish, sort of like a bit of a fox in a box, or Lisby or someone like that. But I'm thinking, no, Lisby never played. We didn't play Birmingham in the time with Kevin Lisby and Mooney in the team. So it was Wolves were the big team that we played.
That was it.
Around that time. So no, sorry, and lining up for you, I would not have a clue. So I'm not even going to try. Even if you give me the initials, tell me who they are. It'd be great to understand if I can remember them.
The goal scorer from obviously this season is Keshi Anderson. So he's got the single goal. Then the attacking midfielder, Jimmy Bloomfield.
Jimmy Bloomfield, yeah.
And he got 2 for Birmingham. And the centre forward, out-and-out centre forward, true, basically, I could say legend, but he doesn't quite reach that status at the club. But he did score the legendary single goal at Millwall that took us to the playoff final. And he also scored a last-minute winner at Vile Park against our neighbours when we were in the Premier League. Scored 3 against Leyton Orient, and that's Stern John.
Fantastic player as well, a name that's sort of been around the football community for a long while. So that's cool. Just a question to you then. I'm going to throw this back to you. I know you asked me some difficult questions there and stuff. I'm glad our 2 ones right. If you look at your forward line now, we're talking about forwards and goal scorers.
Yep.
Out of your forward line now, would you put any of those forwards into your all-time Birmingham City 11?
No. They haven't reached, for me, they haven't reached the status of what other people have done. They're not far off. I mean, I like Jay Stansfield, for example. That guy, I know he's injured at the moment, took a really heavy knock in the game against Bradford. But he is an incredible natural goal scorer. When we look at that game against Bradford, he just got a sniff and then he put it away. Then he'll score some worldies. And then he'll just get these, I'm just going to tap in and just be there. So he's got a lot. He's still young. He's still got a long way to go with Birmingham. He signed a 7-year contract when he came, and he came for big money. So what he is doing is now he is there to kind of progress and build on his career, which I undoubtedly know that he will. So he doesn't reach that status. Alfie May, fox in the box. You know what I mean? He is the guy that will, no matter what, natural poacher, he'll put them away. Does score a couple from outside the box, but he's not hitting that form that he did at the start of the season at the moment for whatever reason. The one player that actually gets very, very close, and he doesn't really get a sniff too much at Birmingham at the moment, is Lucas Djukovic.
Right.
So he is still there. He is still ploughing away, and when he gets his opportunity in the team, which I do believe he will, I think he'll be on the bench on Tuesday evening. He is a true gent, and he is a guy that's fought for us throughout. And he had his opportunity at the end of last season to walk away from the club, but he actually said no. Family was settled, and he wanted to give it one more go. He wanted a promotion on his CV. He's also taken his coaching badges, and being settled in the area, there's actually quite a record of players that come to Birmingham, settle down in the area, and never move away. Some of which are still playing now. Michael Morrison, for example, is still in the Solihull area, but playing down in Cambridge, and other people as well are still around. Harley Dean is still in the Midlands area, so he's never stepped away either. So Lucas would be in and around that status, and I think, put it this way, if he came off the pitch and scored the winning goal that took us back to the Championship, or he played at Wembley and scored in the final, that will trip him into the levels of what you would class as the all-time legends. I think finally Lyndon Dykes. Lyndon Dykes for me is so hit and miss. He scored some great goals in the FA Cup, and then he obviously got us the winner against Bradford in the Virtue Cup semi-final. He is a player that, if you give him his opportunities, he would 99% of the time put them away. But then that 1% is normally an absolute howler. And I take the weekend as the example for that. It was harder to miss than it was to score against Reading. But he still managed to not get it across the line. So Lyndon Dykes is still got a lot to learn, I think, at the club and show us all. But I will never write them off.
It's cool. Well, Dykes was at QPR, wasn't he, before you?
He was indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw a few games when he played for QPR, and I think your analogy of him is quite true, right? He's, if you get him, literally feed it well, and he's a strong player, isn't he? He's very strong, holds the ball up well. But yeah, I've seen him at QPR miss a couple of real sitters, and you do scratch your head and think, how? Yeah. How do you get so wrong? But I do think that comes with, there's a lot of players when the expectations on them so high. You've got the naturals, and you're talking about Stansfield and Alfie May, and people like, right, they're naturals. They're going to be a natural goal scorer. But a player that actually can score goals is a striker, and we've had a few of those over the years, and they just get a bit more pressure on them, and the expectation is to score every time you get in front of the goal. It doesn't always happen. We had a player in our National League days, Macaulay Bond, who left us, went to QPR. He's floated around, and he's ended up at Southend now. In that National League season, it was a stupid amount of goals he scored, but there was a stupid amount of goals that he actually missed. So you think he would have scored every time he had the opportunity, he could have got into like 60 odd goals in that National League season, but he missed so many howlers. So listen, strikers will win you games, but I think tomorrow night for me, I think the middle of the park and our back line, stop you playing, and then trying to turn you around would be, I think, the message that the gaffer goes with. And we've got some real good talent in there, and that's the biggest difference, in my opinion, is the talent we had beginning of the season and now are very similar. Yes, we brought in some people at Christmas and in that January window, but it's the same style of play. You'll see the same orient, and there's those players who probably didn't quite up to the mark then are on form now, and that's the bit where I think we'll hopefully see a better game for it.
And that leads us nicely to the dreaded question of, how do you think tomorrow night will go, and what does your heart say the result will be, and what does your head say your result will be?
Yeah, I think my heart and head normally are quite close to each other. I'm a realist. I said that to you before we started this record. I think the 2-1 result at our place, I wouldn't say the word flattered you, but we gifted you at least one. That I think both goals, but gifted you at least one, right? So on paper, that should have been played out, probably a draw. Played you at the right time as you was finding your feet in the league. but we weren't up to much. As we got to this point now, and as you said, you've got a few injuries and some key players, but you still got a cast of Ben Hur, quite a decent set of lads, right? That sits behind it. We are struggling for our back line. So I don't think we're going to come away with sort of keeping you out for a full 90 minutes or extra time, etc., etc. My bit will be tomorrow if we can get away with a 1-1. That'll be a great result for us, especially in our form and secondly in your form as well. But I've been thinking of this all day, and one of the reasons, not today, but just for the last week or so. One of my bosses is a Brummy fan, and we've been talking, and we was talking about the whole thing around not many people turned you over at home. Charlton didn't quite manage it, and they're on some form as well. I think, and we've done Wrexham in the last couple of games, as you know, a club similar like yourself, good form, good positivity around the club, good investment. I won't say sort of loads of players, good investment. 1-0, come out of there, get back on the M6. See you later, boys. 1-0, win the O's. My heart would leave with that, but I'm a realist. I think we'll get a draw with you, and that'll be a good result for us. And we'll then head back down south to play Charlton on Saturday.
And I think we've just done our live show, and the one thing that we always do is a prediction. And I've said out the two games that we've got upcoming, we're playing the team that are fighting for a playoff position, and then the team that are fighting for second spot in the league. And I think, Saturday, whilst it's against Wycombe, that probably plays into our hands a little bit more because they've got to come at us. Whereas for yourselves, you can come in with a relaxed attitude, and a team that's relaxed and a team that is not necessarily looking to go out and we must beat you type of scenario is more dangerous, in my opinion. And it's going to be a tough game. There's absolutely no doubt in it. In fact, I stick by the fact that there is no such thing as an easy game in this league. Oh, even though we turned over Cambridge a couple of weeks ago, it still wasn't easy to start off with. You've got to learn to break down a team, and when a team sets out the stall of you've got to get past us, that's down to you then to be able to break them down. So it's going to be tough. I made the prediction on the show, and I'll stick with it, of saying that it'll be, I think, a 1-0 to Birmingham, but it'll be extremely hard fought and it will be tight. And I still think it'll be that way around. And I wouldn't rule out a 1-1 at all. I think, teams are now wanting to come and get the results at St Andrews at Knight Park. They want to take that record. We are unbeaten at home. We are 16 games unbeaten in the league, so people want to take this. And that's sometimes easy enough of a team talk than your manager going, you've got to go out, you've got to go and, make sure this person knows you're around after 5 minutes, or just make sure you stay tight. It doesn't always need that. It's just, look at what they've done. Go and beat that. Go and break that record. So it's going to be tight, but looking forward to it as always.
Absolutely. Just last point for May on that. So you're talking about Wycombe and talking about us. I think you're quite right there, because I think Wycombe are on the descendancy and we're in the ascendancy because we're doing so well.
That's right.
And they've had that change in leadership there. That's had an impact. So we can tell that already. The impact on the managers where he's gone to the Luton's had no impact.
No impact whatsoever. Yeah,
it's gone the other way. So he probably looks over his shoulder and wish I'm probably going to see Wycombe and Luton swap positions as the summer comes. But I think that and they'll be right up for it as well, because they want to start to get themselves clear of the playoffs. They want to make sure they get automatic promotion.
They want to kick on
back to the Championship, yeah.
And I think the pressure for me is very much on Wycombe. Dare I say, we've got nothing to kind of lose, but if we go into that game, and we take a result tomorrow, then we go to that game and we beat them, we could well end up being 12 points ahead of them without, and with still a game in hand. So it's scary for them, and that's why I think the pressure's on them. But Julian, thank you very much for joining us to give us the lowdown on the game. And look, when it comes to tomorrow evening, may the best team win. And as I always say, I wish every team all the very best for the remainder of the season, apart from when you play Birmingham. So I hope you do get your playoff position. And, you know, let's hope that next season we're playing each other in the Championship, because I think that'll be great for both clubs. So thank you very much for joining us on the away end in association with AMG Logistics. And I'll end as always by saying, keep right on. Cheers.
Thanks very much.